Now only here tonight at 6. You know, it's been a busy 7 days for Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, and he was right here in Louisville today. Here he is speaking in Louisville today to the Veterans of Foreign Wars National Convention. 10,000 VFW members and auxiliary delegates are here. But yesterday, just Sunday, the governor was down in Georgia. He was campaigning right here on behalf of Vice President Kamala Harris. And then let's take you to Saturday, our exclusive coverage from Des Moines, Iowa. Andy Beshear, the keynote speaker at a sold-out event. Plus, the governor also sitting down for an exclusive interview with our Isaiah Kim Martinez and senior photojournalist Alyssa Newton there in Iowa. So Isaiah is back today. And Isaiah, today you've been talking to some key Republicans in Kentucky and Democrats. They actually watched that speech when it was Iowa, when he was in Iowa. He's still alive in the race to get possibly selected by Kamala Harris. What did they think about what he said?
Well, Doug, I like that word, use alive, and you could argue even gaining steam. But from what I'm hearing, this week is likely going to be about being the one for VP Kamala Harris, the one she wants beside her campaigning. And over the last week, you could tell Kentucky's governor was giving her his best pitch. Do you think anyone's working harder to get the spot than he is?
No. No. It's the way he does everything. And I don't see anybody working as hard as he's working.
Good evening, Iowa!
Governor Andy Beshear knew when talking to a sold-out crowd of people outside Kentucky, he needed to start with a message they could recognize.
If you don't know me, I'm the guy who beat Mitch McConnell's hand-picked candidate last November in Kentucky.
He basically said, this is my main credential. I can win in a red state. I can be successful against the most powerful Republicans.
Can we just say it? I mean, he is auditioning for vice president, right?
Well, he is, and so is Tim Walz, and so is Josh Shapiro, and Mark Kelly.
Former Louisville Congressman John Yarmouth, who's close with Beshear, sharing his takeaways from the governor's keynote address to Iowa Democrats. Beshear again taking jabs at former President Trump's VP pick, Senator J.D. Vance.
He said it was weird that I attacked, and this is in his words, his quote, origin story. Batman has an origin story. Fictional characters have an origin story. Real people have childhoods.
My exclusive interview with the governor in Des Moines Saturday before he delivered his remarks. J.D. Vance, you mentioned the senator. If y'all were on a debate stage, who would win?
I would. Every day, all day. I mean, listen, I'm a person of real conviction. He and Vance have something that's clearly like they're getting under each other's skin. And so that's kind of an interesting thing that he's got that maybe the others who are on the short list don't have. I mean, I think they're better candidates that she could choose, but I can understand why he's on the list.
Former Kentucky Secretary of State Trey Grayson, a Republican, watched the speech and says it was more partisan.
As governor, I have vetoed every single piece of anti-LGBTQ plus legislation that our legislature has tried to pass.
He's trying to become the vice president of the Democratic Party, so it is appropriate to be more partisan. But it definitely seemed, really from the beginning, he kind of introduced himself through a partisan lens. And it's like, oh, this is not, hi, I've been your governor for the last 4 years. I've done a good job. Keep me in office.
Then in Frankfort, you have Republicans like Kentucky Senator Damon Thayer, one of Beshear's harshest critics for years.
For him to try to sell himself as a vice presidential candidate as some sort of bipartisan hero it's fraudulent. And frankly, he should apologize for it because it's just wrong.
Thayer doubling down on what he told me weeks ago, that Beshear is not getting selected as VP Kamala Harris's running mate.
I could be proven wrong. I don't know if Kamala Harris is dumb enough to pick Andy Beshear, but maybe she is. But I don't see him getting picked.
Regardless of whether Beshear comes out on top, Yarmouth and others expect that decision to come before week's end.
Let's get it done! God bless you, Iowa!
So what a week it's going to be. But let's go back, Isaiah. It was exactly 1 week ago when the governor took his first jabs at J.D. Vance on the national morning show appearance. Since then, you've interviewed him twice, covered him in Iowa. We've watched his news conferences. How has his tone changed in just 7 days?
It's interesting. The one that really comes to mind, Doug, is when he first described Vice President Kamala Harris. It was in an interview with CNN soon after, right when these talks kind of started circling up, and he described her as a good person, someone he enjoyed working with. I asked him about their relationship just a couple days ago, and now he describes her as a special person, or their relationship as being special, someone who knows his kids by name. Originally, he talked about him being considered as being flattering for the state. Now he's saying it's an honor to be considered. So you're seeing those changes.
So if Andy Beshear is not picked, he's probably going to keep up these high-profile appearances. He's in demand now. Could we actually see him leaving as governor, not serving the 4 years?
Former Congressman John Yarmuth says the cabinet position is not out of the question here. He sees that as being a potential launching pad for office, kind of national office down the line. So we could look at that.
If she were to be elected. Yeah.
If she were to be elected. Either way, 2028 seems like all the attention he believes will only enhance his chances.
All right. Well, certainly an interesting appearance in Iowa, and welcome back.